Hey guys, what's up? Hope everybody's having a good day out there today. Thanks for tuning back in, much appreciated. And today we're going to continue with some more jerkbait juice because we're right in the middle of jerkbait season right now. And I'm going to have a discussion and tell you guys what it means as far as what hooks are in the bass's mouth when you catch a fish on the jerkbait. As far as what it means when your front hook's in, if all three hooks are in, if your back hook's in. There's a lot you can learn. There's a lot that goes into really determining how to fish a jerkbait the best based upon how these fish are getting hooked. So we're going to go over that a little bit, give you some good info on it. Real quick before we just got started here, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you guys are interested in going out on in the lake with me for a personal on-the-water lesson with these jerkbaits, I'm booking trips over the next month or two before the season gets started up. You just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blockett Professional Angler, and shoot me a private message, and I can shoot you all the info for a trip and learn and teach you guys a lot about how to catch them on jerkbaits. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. There's a lot to this, what I'm going to talk about here. A lot of different factors that determine how fish is hooked and how good it's hooked. Obviously, the goal on jerkbait fishing is you want to get all three hooks in them. That's the whole point of it. I mean, you know, jerkbait, most jerkbaits like this Mega Bass Vision 110, you've got three hooks on it. Some you have two hook models. Excuse me, still coughing from this, getting over just about over this cold, still coughing from it. But you know, most people use the three hook model most of the time. So our goal is to get all three hooks in it. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the reasons why you don't get all three hooks in it all the time, and why a lot of times all you do is get the back hook in it. Here is my theory on the thing, and this is, I have analyzed this over and over again based upon a lot of different experiences. I think personally, from my own experience, that the biggest reason that you don't get all three hooks in a bait in the fish's mouth, and a lot of times you just get this back hook in there, and a lot of times you just get one barb of the back in there. A lot of times you just get one barb, and a lot of times you feel like a tick on the bait and don't get anything. Guys, the reason that number one reason why these fish aren't getting all three hooks in the bait is fishing pressure. I have proven it to myself over and over and over again, the progression that you see in the fish being hooked based upon how much fishing pressure is on the lake. I'll give you guys a prime example here. I was fishing it was a Bassmaster, maybe it was it's an FLW tournament, one of the first FLW tournaments we had at Table Rock Lake, which was a March tournament, and they were all over a jerkbait in that tournament. I was chomping at the bit to get on in that tournament, or get on that tournament. What?
Can I fly this?
Huh? Okay, you can go fly your flying.
Can I turn this on?
Okay, hold on a second. I gotta go turn this. You got a flying pumpkin. You show him your flying pumpkin?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go get this flying pumpkin set up, and I'll be right back, guys. Got Elijah straightened out there. So anyway, I'm gonna give you guys an example of how it goes down as far as the progression of fishing pressure, how it impacts where you're hooked at. In this particular tournament, and this, I've had many this is just one example, but I've had many, many, many tournaments like this. More than I can count of. In fact, it's to the point where it's expected. It's like what I'm going to tell you here is the progression that happens during the course of a tournament without exception almost every single time. In fact, I can't even think of one tournament where it didn't happen. That tournament at Table Rock down there, the first day of practice, the lake had been off limits. There hadn't been much fishing pressure on the lake, and I started out there that first day of practice with my jerkbait, and it was unbelievable, man. I could call my shots, and I spent half the time, looking around and not fishing because I was getting so many bites on a jerkbait. And 95% of the fish I caught that first day of practice, which was probably about 12 fish, because I didn't want to burn them up in practice. So I'd catch one, and then I'd find 5 or 6 places that looked just like it, and then I'd pull up on another place and catch another one. So it was just a really good day. But 95% of the fish I caught that day had all three hooks in the fish's mouth. You'd have you'd have 2 inside their mouth and you'd have 1 on the outside. Every one of them had to take pliers and get them off. The second day of practice, I was committed to a jerkbait in the tournament. Second day of practice, I still got quite a few bites, but I noticed that hardly none of them got the front hook in there. Most of them were hooked with, like either 2 hooks here or maybe just 1, but a lot of times you'd have just 2 hooks in them on the second day. The third day of practice, I went out there, and this, you got to remember, there's a lot of boats on the water. There's co-anglers practicing, there's pros, there's boats running around all over the place. The third day of practice, I was catching them, but they were just getting the back hook. Once in a while, they'd get the second one, but most all the time, they'd get the back hook. The first day of the tournament, we get out there, and I did good in that tournament. I finished pretty high in the tournament, but every single bass that I caught that first day of the tournament and the second day of the tournament and the third day of the tournament, I never caught one single bass that didn't have just one treble in it. None of the bass I caught in the tournament were hooked with 2 trebles. 100% of them, the ones I caught, were hooked by the back treble hook, and most of them, probably 75% of the ones, especially in the second and third day, were hooked with 1 part of the back treble. Now, the reason that they do this is jerkbait fish in clear water, and particularly on a jerkbait fish, a jerkbait that is really an aggressive bait, they are very, very susceptible to fishing pressure, guys. So the number one thing to remember is that the reason they're not getting all 3 hooks in there is the fishing pressure. And then you ask yourself, well, that's fine. What do you need to do with it? I'll give you guys the tip that I need that will allow you to land those fish even if they're hooked by the back. The thing about fishing, guys, if you got a good hook on there, like this is the Gamakatsu G Finesse, all it takes is 1 barb. You get that barb in the fish right there, and I don't care if it's a 10-pounder, you're going to get that fish in the boat if that 1 barb is hooked good. The thing that you need to do, if the bass are slapping at it like that and getting the back barb, you've got to go to a softer, more limber rod. I use that Megabass Whipstake spinning rod. It's a medium action rod, but in that particular tournament, I switched up to that Megabass Hedgehog, which is a soft tipped rod. It's a real limber tip on the thing. And just that little bit of extra hesitation from the soft tip on the rod will allow those fish to get that bait just a little bit more in their mouth. So in heavy fishing pressure, what I'm saying, guys, is the best thing you can do is go to a limber tipped rod. Now, the next thing you can do on that, if they're eating the whole thing good and you got all 3 trebles in the thing, there's usually 3 things that are happening. Either you're fishing in a situation where there's not a lot of fishing pressure, or there's not a lot of people fishing a jerkbait, or you keyed in on the right color that they want to eat, or you keyed in on the right retrieve. Sometimes it's a combination of those things, but that is rare. If you have one of those days where those fish are eating all 3 hooks on a jerkbait, usually everything's perfect. You got the right bait, you've got the right color, you've got the right sky conditions, you've got the right wind conditions. Most of the time we're dealing with a short striker, and that's why you get so many fish that will follow a jerkbait to the boat, especially in clear water. And that's why you get so many fish that will, what, did you lose the pumpkin again?
No.
Okay, I'll be right back out. I gotta finish up here.
Here's gummy bear.
Okay, all right, thank you for the gummy. Okay, get that gummy from me. So, the point is, if you've got everything going perfectly right as far as all your bait, your retrieve, the right type of day, you're gonna get them on there. But more than not, guys, you're gonna be dealing with the back 2 on there. So a couple of different things you can do. If the fish are not eating your bait real good, try experimenting with colors. And colors, there's no right or wrong reason on it. It's just a matter of experimentation with it. Sometimes they will bite different colors better than others based upon a lot of different factors like water clarity, light intensity, wind, all that type of stuff. Experiment with colors. Number 2 is experiment with your retrieve. Most of the time, if you're getting short strikers or they're nipping the end, if you speed your bait up just a little bit, and make those jerks a little bit harder, a lot of times that will trigger that fish to really react and take that bait a little bit deeper. So that's just a few of the things I found, guys, in jerkbait fishing as far as what determines how many hooks they get or what part of it in there. That's part of the elements of jerkbait fishing, again, that makes it so difficult. I mean, jerkbait fishing are notorious for getting off. You'll lose a lot of fish on a jerkbait. You'll have a lot of them jump off sometimes. That's just part of the trade-off you have for getting a lot of bites with that lure. So anyway, I hope that helped you guys out. Much appreciated you tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Half you dudes watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel, giving you guys juice day after day after day. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, and it's a pretty good trade-off, I think, for the info I'm putting out. So anyway, hope you guys are doing good. We'll check in later. See you.